The following episode is brought to you by Sosta. Sosta is the expert in digital performance analytics. The Sosta platform enables digital business owners to gain unprecedented and continuous performance insights into real user experience on web and mobile devices, in real time and at scale. And now, on to the show.
Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 102 of Total Retail Talks. In today's episode, Total Retail's executive editor Joe Keenan sits down with Molly Hartney, Vice President of Marketing and Merchandising for The Mine, a Lowe's company, at this year's Total Retail Roundtable in Seattle. Listen in as they discuss a shift in merchandising and marketing as a result of a rebrand. And now, on to the show.
So thank you for joining me, Molly.
Yeah.
So again, we'll just start. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself and your role at The Mine.
Sure. My name is Molly Hartney. The Mine, for those of you who don't know, is a Lowe's subsidiary. It used to be atgstores.com. So Lowe's acquired ATG a little over 5 years ago. And in that time, we've kind of had to get our ducks in a row and figure out what our strategic initiatives were to be able to actually come to this rebrand of The Mine. The Mine was a vision between not only Lowe's corporate, but between myself and the president of where we want to be when we grow up. So if you think about Lowe's as a company, they can service your kitchen, they can service your patio, they can build you a new bathroom, but when it comes to things as far as furnishing your bedroom or thinking about that perfect light fixture that goes into the bathroom that is a little bit more ornate, Lowe's needed a better omni-channel strategy to be able to service the total home, and that's where The Mine came in. I was with Lowe's for a little over 6 years before coming to The Mine here in Seattle, so I moved from the West Coast over to the East Coast to be able to help not only with research and development, but the overall digital strategy for The Mine.
So maybe a little bit on the timeline and kind of the thought process around, well, first with timeline, when did the rebranding occur? And, a little bit onto why and, how then is the company still integrated with Lowe's?
Sure. So if you think about Lowe's, I tend to call it the mothership. Lowe's has a couple of different allied businesses, The Mine being one of them. The Mine is a home furnishings company. In thinking about home furnishings, the end goal is to be able to test and learn on The Mine and be able to actually funnel that information back into, say, the mothership. So the whole sole premise of The Mine is to kind of understand and tap into that home furnishings area and tap into services in a more fast and agile way. Kind of fail fast, learn fast, and then push it back into the mothership, and then they push it back out to their larger traffic. We know that there's generally about 70% of consumers that start their online search for furniture. We know that customers today, there's about 15 million searches for services a day. So if you think about it that way, how can The Mine help to be able to tap into that industry and push back a little bit more knowledge to Lowe's to be able to not only help from an omni-channel perspective, but expand their endless aisle of sorts with a different product offering than what Lowe's can offer in-store and online. So the thought behind The Mine is to take it up a notch and to have a different pricing matrix. So if you're at Lowe's, you can definitely find a good, better item. If you come to The Mine, you can find more of a like, love, and luxury item for those customers who are not looking for something that their neighbor has.
So talking about the customer a little bit, has that customer changed since sort of the rebranding? And how is The Mine's The Mine's focus in terms of its target demographic following this rebrand? Has that shifted at all?
Sure. So in thinking about our target demographic, when ATG was ATG prior to being The Mine, it was a company that was built off of Lighting Universe, for those of you who don't know. So it was actually built off of lighting, and then it spawned into when Google and Amazon and everybody said, hey, you can have as many URLs as you want. We won't penalize you for that. It spawned into about 500 different websites. So if you think about that, there's like 500 different URLs. Then Google said, okay, no way, we're going to basically slap you for that. So we had to go down to one domain. With that, the same mindset of endless aisle when the term was coined, it was, we'll sell to anyone with a credit card. We will still sell to anyone with a credit card, but we're being a little bit more selective in that. So we went from having 4 million products on the site, calling it down to a little over 1 million products, and really thinking about quality over quantity. And that's just in the last year and a half to kind of put it in perspective as far as strategy is concerned. And then really thinking about, okay, now we have this killer selection based off of quality. How are we going to inspire people? So being able to market in a different way, we kind of looked at a different media mix. So thinking about influencers, roughly 50% of them are influenced by micro-influencers. So if you think about your Instagram, your Pinterest, your Facebook, how do you tap into that demographic to make sure that you're having evergreen content out there to be able to inspire people with the products that you actually have on your site? So inspiration was next. Services, we already know that 15 million people are searching for services. So we want to make sure that we're servicing the customer differently and for what they need based off the product and the inspiration. So if I'm going to show you from a micro-influencer how to design and decorate a room, I better make sure that I have in-house design services on the website, which is a service that we offer today. If I'm going to show you a $10,000 chandelier, I better make sure I'm delivering that with white gloves, and Bob from down the street isn't showing up with his crack out. Pardon Bob, sorry, but if you're buying a $10,000 chandelier, you want somebody to bring that into your house. You want to make sure that they install it, and you want to make sure that you feel confident in your purchasing choice. So we make sure that we also do delivery and install, so white glove. We also partner with Porch, who's locally here, for installation services. So we're national. And then we also partner with Spar. A good story that we actually talked about on the phone. There was a couple in Charleston, South Carolina, and they had called up to order a swing set. And they were like, I didn't know this swing set had 3,000 pieces. So we were like, hey, that's okay. We'll send someone out to you. And we sent a professional to make sure that it was commercial grade product, it was safe for their kids, and they installed it within 4 hours. I myself do not think I could install a 3,000 piece swing set. So being able to offer that service to the customer, they then called us back and asked us to not only service their pool, but their second home in the Bahamas. So it's things like that where the one-on-one relationship and service kind of ties in your product, your inspiration, and then you have your service angle.
The shift in the customer kind of focus, how has that then affected the marketing strategy at the mine? We talked a little bit about lifetime value and sort of how now is that maybe more of a key metric. And
Sure. Okay. So in thinking way back, we'll sell to anyone with a credit card. Now it's more how do you make sure that you keep the lifetime value of a customer? So by building out kind of what the customer journey is from start to finish, there's thoughts on whether there's 5, 7 to 13 life cycles that a customer will go through in any project. You want to be there regardless of how many steps it is along the way. Some people are short and they know exactly what they want. And some people, there's a long tail, right? It could be a year-long project. They could be working with a designer. So in thinking about that, the way in which we market is we really amp up the service angle. That's where we find we get the most benefit out of it. So similar to kind of what Peter was saying of not everyone will pick up the phone. So we offer chat. We do text messaging. We do one-on-one. We have a different system for people who have high value orders, and we call that our personal concierge team. So it's more one-on-one touch with the customer in any which way you want to react. So we've tested out Skype. We've tested out being on the phone, just to make sure that however that customer wants to feel good about their project and put confidence in you, it only makes us credible from a resource perspective to be able to service that to them. We've also put more marketing spend, I would say, into things like social, because we find that with our customers, millennials have more buying power and longevity, and they are influenced by micro-influencers. Well, I'd like to think that they're the person who's going to pick up all those go items or kind of your cart completers. They are actually homebodies, so a lot of millennials, based off of research, are more homebodies, and they actually just want ease and convenience. So they won't just quick to buy, so they also enjoy service. A good example is the amount of millennials that are looking forward to dry cleaning in their home, so they don't have to go to the dry cleaners anymore. So, there's smart home products that are coming out now that make it easier for millennials to not only stay home, but enjoy their space and enjoy their time with their friends. And so if you're going to enjoy your space and you're going to be a homebody, what's more perfect to come to a home furnishings company and let us help you enjoy your space.
You've talked a pretty good amount about sort of the superior service and selection at the mine that's been part of this rebrand, and you mentioned design. Can you talk about some of the investments you've made around trying to give that inspiration to your customers? I think you have a couple new hires at the team.
Sure.
Why that is an important area for the mine going forward?
So something I think coming into this space that was very interesting to me is in furniture, if you are in the design industry, 30% of customers who purchase items generally still read shelter publications, so magazines. So you think about House Beautiful, Veranda, Elle Decor, HGTV. So we want to make sure that we are relevant in this magazine space, which is somewhat of a dying age. But for designers and for people looking to be inspired by furniture, they still take these out and cut them out and bring them in just like they would Instagram or something else. So one part of our marketing efforts is we hired a person by the name of Eddie Ross. He wrote a book called A Modern Mix. He is our creative director, and he helps with our editorial. So he worked for Martha Stewart. He was her intern. He also worked for House Beautiful, and then he worked for Better Homes and Gardens. Being able to leverage him, we were not only able to leverage what is out in shelter publications, meaning what they're talking about in the space, but we were able to get further faster with $1 because all of these publications were coming to us because we were sourcing our own in-house photography. So I could source for the website, I could source for a magazine, and then I could also get it picked up not only on their social channels, but in their magazines for free, because I did the legwork working through him to actually do by the look or a curated look. So that's how we were able to stretch marketing dollars and also get into different outlets that we wouldn't have been in before. Another person we hired is Alexa Hampton. She is a well-renowned interior designer. Her father was Mark Hampton of Mark Hampton Interior Designs. Leveraging her, we were able to go to High Point Market, which if you're not familiar with furniture, High Point Market is kind of like the red carpet, if you will, of all of furniture shows. And the vendors that are there are of top-notch quality. A lot of them are still used to brick and mortar. They thrive and die by their sales associates. Digital to them, they're still banging their head on a wall, to be frankly honest. They don't get it. So we were able to get a seat at the table because she already had credibility or licensing with some of these vendors. And I'm happily to say that we have 70 of these vendors who have never been online before on the website with the mine. So in thinking about that, in a year's time, we were able to kind of crack the nut of figuring out how to get some of these brick and mortar designers who would never sell online before onto the website.
Customer experience. What are some of the technologies that the mine is investing in to ensure that it kind of stays ahead of the curve in this industry and in delivering that superior customer experience?
Sure. So in talking about Lowe's before, we have the privilege of sitting next to Lowe's Innovation Labs. So it's almost like sitting next to a toy shop where I can go over there and see what they're working on. They just released with Lowe's, Google Tango, wayfinding in the stores, as well as a suit that you can put on as a customer. We've been able to tap into them for 3D technology, where you actually come to the site and you're able to see the product in 3D. Not similar to some of the 3D that's been pushed out there that actually looks like a cartoon character of a product, but we actually do the real product. You zoom in. There's no artist work behind it. We're not painting it. It is the real actual product. That 3D technology in general has increased sales by 80% on the items that we have it on. So if you think about, we actually don't 3D every item, we 3D one item for a group. So if you think about if I have 4 sofas and they're in 4 colorways, I've 3D'd one of them Just by 3Ding that one, they can still see and touch, and well, they can't touch, but they can see the item, zoom in on the details, and it's helped to increase sales as far as the credibility of that item and the quality of that item. So that's one, to name a few. See It in Your Room is something we'll be launching later this fall. Also tapping into some of that augmented reality with either leveraging a headset or being able to actually use it on your computer. And then the third capability that we'll kind of be taking a look at is visual search. We launched visual search last year, and we learned pretty quickly that by not having it mobile enabled, that was a failure. So we're learning from our failure and making sure that we push it out even better from a mobile perspective. And that's another way that we tap into the enterprise. So we started visual search first. They're building theirs off of our failure and learning fast from it. And we're able to push something out better in the market from it.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this episode, be sure to visit our podcast channel page at www.mytotalretail.com/podcast for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play, but please remember to subscribe to our podcast channel page as well. Lastly, don't forget to connect with us on social, on Twitter at MyTotalRetail, and on Facebook at facebook.com/MyTotalRetail. Until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks. Thank you for listening, and for more information from today's sponsor, SOSTA, please visit www.sosta.com.